Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today to listen to our presentation. As Charlie said, I have lost my voice, but I'm going to do my best to get through today. I'm going to be talking to you about Ewaso Lions, a grassroots lion conservation project that I started back in 2007. We are located up in Samburu in northern Kenya. And we get this name, Ewaso Lions, from this amazing river, the Ewaso Nyiro River. The area we work in is unfenced. It is a wild area where lions and elephants and wild dogs are free to roam throughout their range. Why is it important to do lion conservation? And this will surprise many of you because we're still trying to get to grips with what really is happening with lions. The reality is lions are in serious, serious trouble. I can't emphasize that enough. We are losing lions all the time. In Africa, there's been a 90% reduction in lion range. And now the current estimate is there's only about 20,000 lions remaining in the whole continent. Most of that's in just one country. 10,000 are in Tanzania. Only 7 countries in Africa have more than 1,000 lions. We're lucky in Kenya, we're one of them. We have just about 2,000 lions. But that's a very, very small number for a country that depends on its tourism, for the cultures and communities who depend on their wildlife. So it is a serious threat and a huge concern for us. What is happening? Why are lions disappearing at such a quick rate? Why are the numbers declining? If you asked me this question a year ago, my answer would have been quite different to what it is today. Now, I can safely say that one of the main threats to lions is they are running out of space. This is a painting done by one of our wildlife artists in camp, Samson. And he painted this to really illustrate to you what I mean by habitat loss, which is the greatest threat to lions now in Kenya. Trees are being cut down, forests are being removed, and critical wildlife and lion habitat is being removed. Bushes are burned, overgrazing. There's a lot of livestock. With livestock comes people, a lot of development. And now in northern Kenya, we are facing a great new challenge, and that is large-scale development projects. This is another painting that he's done to try and really capture what is happening to northern Kenya. We have highways, we have a train line, a pipeline. All this is coming in and changing the face of northern Kenya. So what happens? What happens when lions are constantly trying to move from one place to another and they're struggling? They can't find enough food. They can't find enough places to go to. They come into contact with the local communities. I am very privileged to live and work with the Samburu community. I have been in Samburu now for 15 years. Their lives depend on their livestock. Their camels, their goats, their donkeys, their sheep, it's their wealth. It's like their bank. So when a lion comes along and is looking for food and doesn't find any, and is really struggling to survive, often they will choose the easiest target, which is cows and camels and the community's livestock. Understandably, when this happens, there's a lot of resentment and anger, and often lions are shot, speared, or poisoned in Kenya. This is a lion that we had known for many years. His name was Loirish. It's a lion I loved a lot. I got to know him so well in Samburu. But a couple of years ago, he had killed a lot of camels. He was shot dead. His head was cut off, and he was burned. And this is the reality. So if anyone says lions are not in trouble, that's not true. This is what's happening. The warrior you see in this picture, his name is Latoye. He's one of our warriors, and he was devastated when this happened, as was the community, as was our team. And now, just in the last year, we have another new threat: poisoning. This is the first time we've had this happen in northern Kenya. About a year ago, There was a lot of encroachment into Samburu and into the protected areas. Some camels strayed in. The lions attacked the camel. Soon after that happened, at night, they laced the camel carcass with poison. And 5 lions were poisoned. There were 5 cubs. 2 died instantly, including the one in this picture. 3 of them were very sick. They had not eaten as much poison as the other 2. So what they did when they felt sick, they crept down a warthog hole. And they sat there for 3 days. Our team, we had lost 2 lions, and our team was devastated. This was also a very risky area to work in at that time. But our team did not give up. They said, we're going to go and guard that warthog hole. We're going to make sure that no one comes to try and kill these 3 cubs. We've already lost 2, and that is a great loss for us. We're not going to lose these remaining 3. And that's what they did. Generia, our field manager, and Latoye came and guarded this hole. They parked right next to it. And sure enough, 3 days later, the cubs emerged. They were very weak, but they managed to reunite with their mothers, and they survived. And that was really because of the dedication of our team. I'm going to introduce you to a very special young man now. His name is Generia Lekilele. He has worked with me for over 9 years. Generia is our field and community manager. And he has single-handedly saved lions on a countless occasion. He works with 18 warriors, and just in the last year, they have stopped the killing of lions 30 times. We have lions in Samburu and in northern Kenya because of our team of warriors. He now says lions are his cows. He's given his cows to his brothers, and he said, you look after my cows, I'm going to look after the lions because they are now my cows. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a very special man, Generia, who's going to tell you a little bit about his work with the warriors.
Yeah, thanks everyone. My name's Generia, and really give me a big pleasure to come in front of you and share my stories. What a great day today. You know, it's really nice. Sometimes you go out, you feel alone, but coming and see how many faces are actually coming to listen to me is amazing to us. It's something that if you go back, you really have something to tell people, that we are not alone. You know, and I'm a warrior by myself. And I just want to demonstrate how a warrior is. What is the life of a warrior? A warrior is a very young man who aged between 15 years of age up to 25. So during the circumcision, he will be released out of the village, the Manyata, where they live. His role is actually to protect their culture, their livestock, their community, for anything, any attack, any cattle rustling. So when I first started working with the West Lions Conservation, I realized that the warriors are not involved in conservation decision making. And anytime I go and respond to any conflict, these are the people that I face a lot because they are the army of the community. They have to respond to those cases because their life depends on those livestock. So they have to prevent against any attack. And I said, we need to involve these warriors into conservation. We have to because these are the key people. They live in the bush. They come across all these livestock all the time. And that's when we started a Warrior Watch program. So when I started, we called all the warriors to come. They were very shy. They thought that they were doing something wrong because they will only be called that time if something wrong have gone wrong. So they think that, maybe something have gone wrong. So we call them. We need you to be a part of conservation. They were so shocked because no one have ever called them for that. So they think, wow, that is really good. So we started with 5 warriors, and now we have a bunch of 18 warriors. After evaluation, we saw it's really effective. So we started with those 5, and we have expanded to those 4 conservancies. now. And we ask them, what do you want as a return? Now you are part of conservation. What do you want? They said education, because we have never been to school. So we need to know how to read and write. So we started a Sunday school, of which all the warriors from all the locations, they will come gather together. They give me the reports while we are also teaching them from A, B, C, D. Imagine in that age, learn A, B, C, D after said, animals' names. It was really a big thing for them. And I'm very proud to say now, out of 18, only 2 that we just recruited in this year that are not able to write and read. The rest, they take their data in the field, they write themselves, they give us data now. So it's something really amazing. And during the rainy season, all the warriors, even who are not involved in conservation, they will come to that school, because they have seen the rest, they know how to read, they know how to write, and they said, we want to know how to read and write. So you get over 50 warriors now just coming there. We need a book, we need a pen, and you'll see a big knife like this with a pencil there, with a book when they're hiding. So during their activities, this is one of their responsibilities. We need to save lions. We need to control conflict happening in the first place. So they will go out very early in the morning before the community release their livestock. Go there, really, track the lions, get where the lions are. This is where the lions are, and then they will go back and communicate that message to the herders, to the community. Don't take your livestock there because that is where the lions are. So that is one of their big, responsibilities. They will go out really because that will save lions and that have saved the goats. So there will be no problem. So that is one of the things that major thing. They will wake up actually at 5 or 6 o'clock. One of the responsibilities is to look out. They will find a hill, very high place. They will scan the area, really look what is in the area, whether the elephants are there, whether the wild dogs, so that they can communicate that message to the rest of the community. We also monitor the lions using the car. So we'll go really far places, monitor the lions, and that we will come very close to the lions because we monitor every individual lions. And that way, we can know every individual lions by drawing the whisker spots and the ear marks, because that will distinguish between another lion and another lion. And this is very amazing. This Moran called Leotoye, the first time I bring him to conservation, he said, oh, these lions, they look all the same. How can I know that this is a different lion and another one? So, and now, I'm very happy to say my team is there, and now they belong to that family. They know now, just like the way I know, the way they know their cows. So it was something different to them. They said they're all brown, so they just look the same. During our activity, when it gets really harsh and very hard situations, we tend to put a temporary camp in a very conflict hotspots areas, where a place where the livestock, the people will encroach in the same place. And that is where, our hardest work is. So you'll come in the middle of the night, middle of nowhere. It's just you, like us, like 2 pots, 1 cup, or 2 cups, and a bottle of water, just to save the lions. So we can build that coexistence between the community and the lions. And in here, it was really hard in August. This is where one of our lions was limping, and it have caused a lot of problems. And we went to that area and really built that, and that lion is still surviving now. And this is my team, of which that is why I'm here now with you. I'm very proud to say that, they're very dedicated with lions conservation. Actually, they don't even go on a holiday. They prefer going out, sit with the lions as their holidays. So the very amazing team, we have risked ourselves saving these cats every day. And it doesn't matter what time is the lions have caused a problem. If you call at the middle of the night, someone call you, you'll never say, I'll do it tomorrow. You go at the right time. Whenever they need time, whenever they need you, you are there to help them. So, and we have saved lions being killed almost 30 times now with my team. That is when you see like people going after lions and really see people with guns, with spears, and really running to the lions. And this is what makes me very proud. This is one of our oldest female lioness that we have in Samburu. She's about 16 years now. I have known since from I began with lions. She's almost the mother of almost the whole pride. He is very old. That is the oldest lion, in Samburu. She doesn't have teeth. She caused a huge problems for us. But I'm really happy to say that Pixie, which means pretty, she's still surviving because of us. Because she will always go to the manyatas, to the villages, cause problems, kill goats, and if you go there and respond to a conflict, you will see this lion and she can't even move, barely moving. Like if it was a human being, I think it could have been 90 years, or 100 years. She walks like this. So you said you really feel like if people come, oh my God, do I pick this cat and put it in the car? Or what should I do? She is very old. But I'm really happy and saying that she's still surviving. And that is what makes us going. And you go there, you experience terrible time. Terrible time. When people move, different communities move from different areas because of the pasture, come across this. Sometimes you go by yourself and you really feel like, oh my God, I have no water, I have no food, and you feel, should I give up? But coming to this room, and thank you to Wildlife Conservation Network, I could have been here if not them, for all this connection. And thank you for your support. So I'm going to hand over to Shivani to continue. Thanks.
So we had been working with warriors for about 5 years. We had started a great program with children. There was someone who was feeling quite left out of lion conservation, and that was the Samburu women. They would come up to us in our old camp and say, at least once a week, they would say, you're working with warriors, you're working with elders, you're working with children. Where are we? Where are the women? Sisi pia tunataka kufanya kazi na simba, meaning we also want to work with lions. And so we said, all right, let's figure this out. Let's work with you to create a program. And through the women's leadership, their creation, they started their own Mama Simba program. Mama Simba means Mother of Lions. This program started 3 years ago. The women said, the first thing we want is education. The warriors go to school every Sunday. We also want a school. So they all went. Every Saturday, we have a Saturday school for them. They learn all the animal names in English and Kiswahili. They can all read and write now. They picked it up far quicker than the warriors. And they're very proud to tell the whole community that. They love their Saturday school. You can just see it in the faces of Nalmarai and Letobare. They bring their children. Their children are now part of the Saturday school. And early this year, they said, we want to go to school 3 or 4 times a week. Once a week's not good enough. So we said, okay, well, let's figure it out. Because every Saturday we use the preschool, which is not being used over the weekends. So how are we going to work with you during the week when the little kids are in school? And they said, don't worry, we'll figure it out. We'll make our own bush school. And this was done just a couple of months ago. The ladies made their own bush school. They are now going to school 4 times a week. They're being taught by a young girl, a young Samburu girl, Painoti. But often when Painoti's busy, the Mama Simba ladies take over and teach the other ladies themselves. This is our Mama Simba coordinator. She's called Parasoroy. She's such a powerful woman. She's such a strength in the community. And she says, I have 9 children. They all go to school. But every time they would bring their books back to me in the village, I never knew what they were showing me. But now, because of the school, I can finally read what my children are learning in school. I can finally encourage them. I can push them to work harder because I actually know what they're doing. She has changed the face of community meetings, Parasoroy. Normally in a Samburu meeting, the women are sitting away, the elders are here, the warriors are there. And the women are rarely given a chance to speak. But she speaks. She stands up and she will speak, and people are now listening. The elders have also recognized her, and they say, Parasoroy, now's your turn. Talk about what you want to talk about to do with conservation or your community. And she does exactly that. We did a lot of wildlife training with the ladies. We had workshops with them. We taught them about coexistence and why it's important to have wildlife in their areas. What excited them is they said, well, wildlife have always belonged to us. Culturally, wildlife belonged to the Samburu women. But it was taken away from us because we were never given a voice. But now, through the Mama Simba program, we are finally able to speak about conservation and what's important to us. But we haven't seen wildlife properly. We live right next to Samburu, which is a world-famous park. People from all over the world come to Samburu to see its wildlife. Yet the communities who live right there have never actually been inside. They've never seen a lion close up. They might have heard a lion, they might have seen tracks of a lion, but they've never seen one. So over the last few years, what we do is we take the women on safari. A couple of years ago, they were so lucky they actually saw an elephant give birth. Except then, they wanted to see that all the time. This year, we took all these ladies on safari into Samburu in February. The lady you see on your left, Masulani, she's always smiling. But when she saw Naishera, the lioness at the back, she had the biggest smile ever. Another one of my favorite moments was this lady here on the right, Apis. I was driving along the main road, and I saw a family of elephants nearby, and I knew they were very calm, and I could go quite close to them. So I drove right up to them, and as soon as I did that, she was standing up. She came down really quietly, and she was sort of looking at them with an expression of fear, but excitement and awe and interest. It was this complete mixed expression. The lady next to me was smacking me, saying, drive, 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 you're too close to the elephant. She was so scared to be so close. I got smacked enough times that I eventually drove off. But as I did, a piece taps me and says, no, go back, I was counting her eyelashes. And it showed us how important it is to show wildlife to the communities in a positive way, close up in their natural habitat. Mteli here, she started our Beaded Lion program. She's our second Mama Simba coordinator. A lot of the ladies we work with are widows. They make these beaded lions. We sell them here at WCN for them. This really helps these ladies. It gives them an extra income so they can buy food for their children, books for their kids as they go to school. It's something they depend on heavily. And we have a number of these beaded lions on our table. So I encourage you all to please support the Mama Simba ladies and buy one of these beaded lions. Early this year, we went to our older group of Mama Simba ladies and said, we have now had requests from all these other ladies saying, we want to be a Mama Simba lady. Please let us join. So we worked with our older group of 9 ladies and said, go out there, work with the community, pick the new ladies you want. And now I'm so excited to say we have 19 ladies who are so proud of their work, they're so dedicated, and they say that finally wildlife have come back to us. Finally, we have a voice in not just conservation, but in the community. They were so proud of their work that they demanded a uniform. And they said, you've got to make us something so we can show everyone that we are Mama Simba ladies. And that's what we did about a year ago. The Warriors were so jealous that I was in so much trouble that I had to get some Warrior ones made quite quickly soon after this. I was born in Nairobi in Kenya. And I was very lucky as a child. My parents took me on safari all the time. And it was those childhood memories with my parents, my grandfather who loved rhinos. He would take me to Nairobi National Park all the time to see rhinos. My uncle, who was so passionate about conservation. It was those childhood memories that got me so excited about wildlife. I was only 8 years old when my parents took me to Samburu. And I'll never forget this moment, but we were driving along in Samburu, and I spotted my first cheetah. And I tapped the guide, and I said, there's a cheetah, there's a cheetah. And I couldn't believe it. There was my first cheetah, and I'd spotted it myself. But it was that moment I realized, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be driving around looking for wildlife. I was lucky, but there's a lot of other Kenyan children who are not as lucky as I was. And because of that, we created a program called Lion Kids Camps. This is to inspire children to want to be conservationists. They are the future leaders like Jenaria. They are the future conservationists, tour guides, wardens of the parks, and it's absolutely essential that we invest in our children so they can see that wildlife is not all bad. Their experiences with wildlife are all negative. They've seen cheetahs chasing goats. They've seen the remains of a camel after a lion's killed it. They see elephants chasing someone in the bush. Those experiences are not going to inspire a child to want to do conservation, but positive experiences will. And that is what our Lion Kids Camps do. We take kids out on safari, and again, they've never seen a lion. And they get to see their first ever lion on safari with our team. We have now held 8 camps over the last few years. We've had over 200 children working with us. They come and spend 5 days. They camp, they get to go on game drives, bird walks, they get immersed in conservation activities. And by the end of it, they're converted. They all want to do what Jenaria does and Latoya does. This year, we did something slightly different. For the last 5 camps, we worked with students, so all the kids that go to school. So every holiday, we brought them on board. But we realized that if we want to have an immediate impact, let's work with the young herding children. These are children who don't go to school and who are often overlooked in their society as not being as important. They're just the kids who go look after livestock. And we said, they are absolutely essential when it comes to keeping wildlife safe. Let's give them that role. Let's make them feel important. Let's bring them to our Lion Kids Camps. They're known as chokutis in the local language. That's herders. So this year, we've worked with 75 herding children. They've never been in any type of educational environment. But we put them in a classroom. And we teach them about lions. We teach them about coexistence. We teach them about better ways to look after your livestock so lions are not able to get them in the first place. And you can see in their expressions how they're listening intently to what we're saying. Yesalai, our field officer, he was teaching the kids about the importance of protected areas and why encroachment is so bad for wildlife. And what I loved about these children is their honesty and openness. We asked them, how many of you have taken your cows into the parks when you're not supposed to? Every single one of them put their hand up. And they said, but no one's ever told us why we shouldn't. No one's ever told us what is so important about the parks. No one's ever told us why putting your cows in the parks really does affect the wildlife population. They were so honest about that. And they said, but now we know. I also asked the children, how many of you have actually killed an animal? And these are all young children. Out of 75 children, about 60 of them had killed an animal. From birds to small antelopes known as dik-diks to squirrels. But again, no one had explained to them why it's important not to kill these wildlife. And one of my favorite moments was this year. I was dropping back the children to the village after the kids' camp. And this boy in the green shirt, his name is Freddie. It was his first time in a car, and I was taking him back home, and about 50 or 60 meters away was a black-bellied bustard, which is a little medium-sized bird, and it was crossing the road. Some of you will know I'm actually a very slow driver. WCN can confirm that for you. And the bird was really far, and I was driving slowly. But Freddie saw that bird and thought that I might come too close. And he jumped right on top of me and said, "Don't kill the bird!" And I almost did kill the bird because I almost crashed the car. But it just showed that this was an immediate impact on these children. This is not them becoming conservationists in 20 years' time. This is them becoming conservationists now, as soon as they learned about the importance of wildlife. And you can see it in the face of this young child, Georg. He was the youngest kid we had at our kids' camp. He never stopped smiling, so positive about everything he was learning. There's no one that highlights this more than this very special young girl called Zawadi. Zawadi is the daughter of Mparasoy, our Mama Simba lady. And at the end of the kids' camp, about a week later, she was walking past her village, and she found some warriors sitting in the dry riverbed, the Lugga. She went straight up to those warriors and said, "Don't touch the lions. If you do, you're going to have to answer to me." And the warriors were like, "Who are you, Zawadi, to tell us this?" Warriors are much older than her. And she said, "I am Zawadi, and I am the one who will protect these lions." And we were so proud of her, so proud of this young girl who's only 13 years old, going up to warriors and telling them not to kill lions. And there was no one more proud of her than her mother, who told the whole community. She went everywhere and said, "This is what my daughter has done." So considering what's happening in Kenya and across Africa, we are losing lions all the time. Is there a future? Do I have hope? It's a question I get asked a lot. Do I have hope for northern Kenya and the lion population? I absolutely have hope. And what gives me hope every day and inspires me is my amazing team that I'm so fortunate to live with and work with on a daily basis. A very strong team, a united team. We are a family in Samburu. Some of you have visited us and you know how close we are. We really have each other's back. Lemen here, he came to Generia's rescue a few years ago. Generia was dealing with such a difficult lion issue, and he needed help from his warriors. And he called Lemen, who was a 2-day walk away, and he said, "Lemen, come, I need your help to deal with this lion problem." Lemen said, "I'll be there." And a 2-day walk took him about 8 hours. He walked through the night, through elephants, through lions, and got to camp at 4 in the morning and collapsed. And he said, "I'm here. I'm here to help you, Generia." And that's exactly what he did. Just because our team is involved in lion conservation doesn't make them immune to losing livestock themselves to carnivores. Yesalai, who's Generia's assistant, his real name is actually Nicholas, which very few people know. But about 15 years ago, Generia renamed him Yesalai because Yesalai says yes to everything. And he is the most positive, hopeful, optimistic person we have on our team. But Yeselai himself suffered a huge loss this year. In June, there was a pack of 13 wild dogs near our camp. And Yeselai was keeping an eye on them. He was monitoring them to make sure that herders didn't bring their livestock close by. He wanted to make sure that no one tried to kill the wild dogs, and he said, I'm going to just guard them today. That evening, he went back to camp, and a warrior came running in and said, Yeselai, 8 of your goats have been killed by the wild dogs, the same wild dogs that he had been looking after that morning. And Yeselai only has 20 goats. He has no camels, no cows, nothing. The 20 goats was his life. And he lost 8 of them instantly, that same afternoon after he had left looking after them. But did that stop him? Did that discourage him? Did he say, I can't do this anymore, look at all the loss I've faced? It didn't. And he went out the next day, and he went back to look for the wild dogs and to monitor them. And that is what our team is like. Despite the loss, we've all faced a lot of loss this year. The community, our team has lost livestock, we've all had personal losses, but we don't give up in our work. We keep going no matter how difficult it is. And our work is extremely difficult. You heard from Generia. It's nights out in the field, dealing with very difficult community issues, often risking our own lives to save these carnivores. Our camp sometimes has been under threat, yet we persevere because we need to. We cannot afford to lose our lions. As we are out there protecting the lions and the other carnivores, we have our own little protector, Kura, who is in our camp fiercely guarding us. And he's also looking for wildlife. We're sitting on our deck. I think he's looking for wildlife for a different reason, but he definitely plays a huge role in our camp life, and he's a real strong part of our team. Is our work working? All the effort we've put in the community, what is happening to the lion population? Our lion population has grown. But what we feel is our biggest success, which was our goal, is lions have now returned to community areas. Previously, a lion would be in the park, come outside where it was very unsafe, and it would be killed. Or it would come outside and go back in again very quickly because it knew it was not safe. But we now have lions living with people. We have lions coexisting with communities. And there's no one that really illustrates this more than this beautiful lioness, Naramat, who is one of my favorite lions and I've grown to love over the last few years. She lives with people. She's surrounded by people and livestock. But what makes her stay is the communities want her to stay. She feels safe. We now finally even hear her at night. She's calling out. She disappeared last year and made us all very worried. We didn't know what had happened. She had gone into an area and we couldn't keep track of her. But she returned with 3 cubs. And this is only the second time in our area that a lioness has given birth to cubs outside a protected area and raised them successfully by herself. But with the increase in lion numbers, does mean that conflict will also go up. And early this year, a lion that we had known for many years, Loiwotwa, a young male who would spend a lot of time around our camp, actually. We could sometimes see him from our camp. We got a message in April this year that a lion had been shot dead, very close to where we were. We followed up, and we believe it was most likely this lion. someone from outside the community area who wasn't part of that community, who had never been exposed to conservation, had come in, had come across this lion, and had shot him. We were devastated. But we weren't the only ones who were upset. The whole community was upset. They said, how can someone from outside come in and kill our lion? That's not acceptable. But there was someone who was most upset than all of us. And I'm going to tell you a story about a young boy called Junior. Junior came to our first Lion Kids Camp 4 years ago. And at the end of the kids camp, he said, I want to be just like Generia. I want to be like Latoya. I want to be a lion conservationist when I grow up. And he told me, I'm going to come and stay with you in camp every weekend and every holiday. I didn't really believe him. But sure enough, every Friday evening, Junior is waiting on the road, waiting for a lift to our camp. I call him Generia's shadow. He's always following Generia. Generia calls him traffic because he doesn't let him pass the road without stopping and jumping in. But Junior's favorite lion of all was Loiwotwa, the young male lion. And when we thought that this is Loiwotwa that's been killed, the first thing I thought of was, how are we going to tell Junior? And I didn't have the courage at that time to do this. I said, I can't confront Junior. This is very difficult. Generia was not there, so I spoke to the warriors and I said, you guys are going to have to talk to Junior, tell him that his lion's been killed. I was driving to camp on Friday evening, and I knew Junior will be at the gate and I would see his red shirt. But this was the one day I didn't want to see Junior. But sure enough, he was there at the gate, and he waved me down, and I stopped, and he came to my window, and he said, who did they kill? And I said, Junior, just come in the car, and we'll go to camp, and the warriors will talk to you. I couldn't face it. I couldn't actually talk to this young boy. He sat in the car, he was behind me, and I drove off towards camp. And just before camp, Manteli, our Mama Simba lady, was standing in the middle of the road. And she stopped me and she came straight to my window and she said, I heard they killed Loiwotwa. And as soon as she said that, I looked in the mirror, and sure enough, Junior's little face crumpled and he sank down in his seat. He was so upset. I spoke to Manteli and I said, I will talk to you tomorrow, because I couldn't deal with it. And so I went to camp, and I got there. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening, so it was getting dark. And as I approached, Junior had opened the door and had disappeared. And I got the warriors, and I said, go find Junior. Let's talk to him. Let's make sure he's okay. Marco, Yeselai, Latoye, they all went for him. Junior eventually calmed down. He did. He's a bright young boy who's got an amazing future in conservation. And it's him who gives me hope for the future. Because kids like Junior, warriors like Generia, Mama Simba ladies like Manteli and Parasore, they have taken ownership. They have taken ownership over lions. The lions belong to them. About a week ago, there was a conference in South Africa where people were discussing how much protection animals need with regard to the trade in wildlife species. There was a proposal to list lions in Appendix 1, which means give them the highest form of protection. For 5 days, there was a debate about this. And at the end of the conference, lions were not uplisted to Appendix 1. They were not given the protection they deserve. And I was on my way to the US, and I was extremely disappointed about this. We are losing lions all the time. There's 20,000 lions left in Africa, less than 2,000 lions in Kenya. We've lost Loiwotwa. Colleen Begg in Nyasa lost Fatima. Amy Dickman in Ruaha has lost lions to poisoning. Lions are being killed. Yet we cannot give them the protection they deserve. Not only was I disappointed, but I'm angry. We have failed lions if we cannot give them that. And lions deserve better. They do. And we are now working on this. We have set up coalitions and alliances. Ewaso Lions is part of Pride, an alliance of lion conservation projects. Coalitions are being formed to discuss how lions can recover in areas. But none of this can be done alone. We cannot do this alone. These lions are not just ours, they're yours as well. This should be a global responsibility. And today I ask you to realize that lions are in trouble, we are losing them, they are seriously threatened, but help us protect them. Join us in this conservation effort. Every single one of you can play a role. Support lion conservation on the ground and give them what they deserve, a future in Africa. Thank you so much for listening to me. And